everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Melissa with Enchanted Emerald, bringing you a reading for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs for love for the week of August 9th through August 15th, 2026. Out of the Light Seers Tarot, we have the High Priestess, the Magician, the Queen of Swords, the Five of Cups, and the beautiful Eight of Wands. Definitely feeling as though tapping into this energy. You could be sitting in a space, Scorpio, where you are kind of withholding a little bit when it comes to a connection. I feel as though your heart is a bit guarded and you're reluctant to open up. And what this delay is stemming from is actually a process that you're going through in regards to your spiritual awakening. I think that you are at this point where you are looking at everything and really coming to the conclusion that it is time for you to move into new energies, but as you try to navigate that, it feels as though you're hitting a brick wall, so to speak, and so it keeps you feeling stuck. So we have to kind of regroup and refocus and really bring it back home and sit with this energy so that we can transmute it, right? Because I think you're in this cocoon phase before your transformation, okay? I think that this is your spiritual slumber, so to speak, where you're operating from a system based on ego. You're operating from the scripts that are run through your subconscious. These are learned behaviors, patterns that present as a result of lessons we've gone through in this lifetime and in past lifetimes. And so this is a way you've always operated. It feels safe, it feels comfortable and familiar, right? And I think that this connection that you have with someone right now is at a breaking point, right? You're really hoping for a breakthrough so you can push into newer territory in this relationship dynamic. I think that there's a lot of talking going on with this Eight of Wands. I think that there's a lot of back and forth. I think that there is a way in this process you can work through your emotions, and I think you'll even be able to identify that there are reasons that you are feeling as though it's more comfortable to stay in the dynamics that you're repeating over and over versus pushing yourself beyond your limits and really pushing yourself into a new territory out of your comfort zone. And I think that as a result of this, like this person, this connection that you have, their talking is more like a big proclamation, right? Explaining all the reasons that they care about you and they deeply love you, right? It's a very poetic feeling and I love it. It's a good energy. It feels so good. And I feel like this is where you're finding it hard to navigate all of this. It can feel really overwhelming because I feel as you shift into this awakening, it's going to feel weird, right? Like you're not going to feel like yourself. You're shifting in your identity, you're shifting in your views, you're shifting in your values, right? And so this, of course, this overhaul really it spills over into this relationship dynamic. And I think that with this, you could feel as though you're broken, but you are not broken. You are beautifully broken, Scorpio, to let all the light in all the right ways and really, really transform you. And that's exactly what it is. You're letting that light in, illuminating all of these shadows so you can work through them, let them go, and move into new territory and new spaces. And so this is a pattern that you've been repeating possibly in past relationships where you were attracting and comfortably attracting people that were emotionally unavailable, right? I think that this is something that happened as a result of you being burned in the past by love, and you might have said, you know what, never again. And so since then, subconsciously, you've always kind of kept people at an arm's length, right? And not really let them in to see you fully. And I think that this can feel as though it's mundane, right? Like they were playing out, you know, this relationship pattern that had been playing out. It was playing out in every dynamic, and it had been feeling, because it's superficial, it seems mundane. It's just like every day the same thing over and over again, right? And I think that moving into this new connection, you want to do things differently. You sense that there is a need for you to push through this. You're hoping for a breakthrough. You have high hopes. But so these energetic densities that you now carry with you as a result of all these things that you've been through in the past, the high stress, the high conflict relationships, past lifetimes of trauma, all kind of surfacing right now to be processed. It's hard for you to work through that. That's where you're coming up against that brick wall, right? That there's an energetic wall, and you just feel like you can't push past that, right? So these hidden aspects, these subconscious patterns, right? They could be really leaving you in that space where you're reluctant to open up, right? Your heart stays guarded. You don't want to open up and allow others in that way. And so as you repeat that pattern more and more, the energies become more and more dense, and that's where there's this energetic recalibration that's happening within you now as a result of that. And it involves working through things in your nervous system, and so you're no longer moved by societal norms. You're no longer feeling pressures to do things on a certain timeline, right? You cannot put a time limit on love. You cannot put others' expectations into your reality, right? Because you get to define what your love looks like and when that plays out. But I think there is a big aspect with this, with the timing. I think it's all going to land in divine timing. And I think that there's more to people, and there's more to the environments now that you're in, right? Because you're opening up more through this awakening. You're going to be a lot more sensitive to others' feelings. You're going to be a lot more sensitive to the environments that you're around. You could feel sensitive from the news or lyrics and songs that you hear. Like, it will hit you differently, and songs that you've maybe listened to for a long time, you don't like the lyrics, you don't like the way that makes you feel, and you need to change the channel. So essentially that's what you're doing within this relationship dynamic, right? You're choosing to change the channel, but there's a big process, right? It's not like we get a remote and push the button and change the channel like we do on an actual television. Changing a spiritual channel, recalibrating your energies, moving into higher frequencies, you start to operate at a different level, and that takes a little bit of time, and it certainly can take an adjustment, right, in your energy field. And so moving through all of these densities, these things that are coming up to the surface now, bubbling up to be healed, this is really about you finding a way through that. And so you could choose to move into different dynamics. You could choose to pay attention to what triggers are showing up, things that are happening around you that really set you off, that really feel, you feel uncomfortable. It just bubbles to the surface and you don't necessarily know exactly where it stems from. It's important to sit with those, right? Because they're going to give you the clues, those emotions when they rise in those situations. The situation is going to give you a clue, the emotion is going to give you a clue, and you're really going to have to sit with that energy to try to figure out, like, where did this stem from, and why am I feeling this way, and working through it in that way, because you have to be able to face it if you want to be able to pull yourself out of these old patterns into some new dynamics. And so you cannot have a fear of failure repeating itself. You cannot repeat self-sabotage patterns, right, to keep yourself feeling safe and comfortable, and keeping people at a distance, right? That's the familiar, predictable energy of that subconscious pattern that you have to really, really work through so you can clear it and start to operate differently, right? Choosing differently, seeing things differently. And so with this, you could have a fear of showing up within the relationship, not just with that guarded heart, but I feel as though as you move into new territories within a relationship dynamic, it can really put you in a space where you're feeling pressure to show up in a certain way or to meet certain expectations, and so it can push you right back into that old subconscious pattern. This isn't going to happen overnight. You're going to kind of cycle through a couple of times probably before you really get a grasp of what's happening, but I think that ultimately you're going to be building on these new standards, these new values, these new views that you have, and it's going to shift your whole identity. And so building on that, owning that, changing your perspective. The perspective that you have may be to look for safe love by having a love that is risk-free, right? If somebody is emotionally unavailable, well, that essentially is risk-free, because you don't have to be pressured to commit. You don't have to be pressured to show up for the expectations of it, right? Having no expectations with that, so knowing though that any relationship that you're building, it isn't risk-free, right? Instead, shifting then to see that you have to move your energy into a new space where you're pushing yourself beyond your limits, but slowly doing that, right? Like really acclimating to that energy, where you're starting to show up for your partner in certain ways that feel safe, and in little ways, and taking baby steps through that. I think overall you do have high hopes, and the song lyrics that I'm hearing with this is that blessed union of souls, that love will find a way. And it's a beautiful energy here, because I absolutely feel that your breakthrough is here for you on the other side of this energy. Just got to be patient with yourself, working through all of that. But it's a beautiful energy. I think that you have not been treated well in the past, and that's part of that reluctance, right? And so moving into this new space, you're still choosing to have faith in love, faith in yourself, to see yourself through this. And yes, love will find a way, and love will slip in through those little cracks, right? And make you feel whole again. And so just be patient, be open, and breathe throughout this whole process. So I do so hope that this helps you in some way, Scorpio, on your path. As always, if you've listened so far into this video, I really appreciate you sticking through the video. If you could do me a huge favor, it would really help me out. Hit me in the comments, say hi, let me know where you're watching from, let me know if you are feeling any of this, if this resonates for you. As always, of course, I will be back with another read for you guys again soon. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so you're in the know of all the new content as it's released. Thank you so much. Take care.